Hi, I'm glad you're here. Water can be such a transformational element. Little birds play in the water as they bathe themselves in a bird bath, or mothers often experience their water breaking before the birth of their child. Water can cleanse, heal, sustain, clear, and refresh. I'd like to know, what is your relationship with water? Today I have a personal essay to share with you. I wrote this piece as I was shifting from one place and growing into another. I invite you to subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, and share this video with someone that is dear to you. I hope you enjoy it. The Change in Rhetoric. I remember the warmth of the sun, casting shadows on my back through the trees on a hot Georgia morning. The welling of singers, full-bodied and strong. Box skirts hung from their hips as they slowly swayed in unison. Their homilies and hymns seemed to float up to the sun. Our elders, uncles, and brothers entered first. Silently, the water was troubled. As my little eyes strained through mosquitoes and sweat, I watched. The men's arms with their church shirt sleeves rolled up, saying prayers as they brought my loved ones up from the waters of the lake. The water made it hard to see the sweat on my mother's brow versus the water dripping from her chin. I clung to her sopping wet dress as she praised God. Her voice was beautiful, like the song of a bird that had been set free. I too wanted to sing. I pressed my cheek into her hip and squeezed her even closer. Her hand lightly brushed over the top of my hair. She leant down to hug me and kiss me on the forehead. I looked up at her face. God's spirit swelled, almost pulsating. Mama looked at Daddy, and I followed her gaze, and I saw my father standing at the very edge of the water. He reached his hand out to me. Steady, patient, strong, and always kind. It was my turn. At the bank of the water, the mud began to melt. I watched as my feet stepped into it, sloshing from left to right. A little girl then, but I can still feel the water move around my ankles, then my waist as I walked to the men, to my family, seemingly, to my destiny. I can still remember my last breath. Water rushing through each of my pigtails and barrettes and into my ears. I emerged, diving unapologetically, unknowingly, directly into the love you had, just for me. I have swam through life's currents, only to find you as my anchor, giving me breath to breathe underwater, to breathe under pain, and to breathe under siege. Many times you were all I had, holding on to you just as tight as I held onto my mother's dress so many years ago, asking you not to let me go, begging you to embrace me, to stroke my hair and make me feel wanted, enough, in place. Yet, with the divine you put inside me, I picked up rhetoric that was not my own. Lies of defeat and unworthiness lied at my lips and were stroked at the curl of my tongue. Life's unkindness and fragility had coaxed me into believing I would never measure up, that I'd never get out of tribulation, that I would always be fighting to survive. These are not yours. These words are not yours. These lies, these empty yet bottomless bucket of unattainable requirements, they are not found in your heart. I am yours, and you are mine. So they cannot be mine. They do not have the right to be here, to take up space, hope, The gifts, talents, skills, and abilities you imprinted inside of me, they don't match. I do not own them. Your son appears, and he places his hand on my back. From the center of his hand, it caused a ripple effect that started a pulsating that was familiar to me. I give these words to your son, who reaches to take them from me. Each ugly lie, dirty sin, bloody pain, he placed them inside a sackcloth bag. He never grimaced or placed blame or shame. I had already done all that. He didn't like it, that I would do that to myself. He wiped the tears that were falling from my face and lifted my chin tenderly with his finger. He gave a half smile before playfully punching the left side of my chin lightly. I erupted in laughter, and he returned a full smile. Then we stood there for a while, smiling at each other. Then he took the bag and returned to the seat on your right, next to you. I watched as he pulled each word from the bag. They transformed into slips of paper right before my eyes. He pulled out a stamp with his other hand, and on each of the papers, so diligently and dutifully, he stamped each of them with a red emblem that stated, void. I'm learning to change the rhetoric from I can't to he will, from you're not good enough to he called me to greatness, from you'll never be better than what happened to his grace is sufficient. So here I stand, a new creature, still slightly unfamiliar in my own reflection. Yet you love me. Tattered, torn, abused. No, resilient, beautiful, masterpiece. I hear your waters.